Let me start this. I just started recording here. I am Clay Douglas. I am the Free American. I do have a book out called Mystery Babylon, and it's a little bit more. It's like I've got the Rothschilds formula in here. We got the Rothschilds listed in here. We got Christian identity in here. Profiles of got nice quotes in it, like on May 11th, Chaim Nachman Balik, a Jewish poet widely recognized as Israel's national poet, in an address given to Jews at the Jewish University in Jerusalem, states, "Not in vain have Jews been drawn to journalism. In their hands it became a mighty weapon highly fitted to meet their needs in their war of survival." And Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Sephardic crypto-Jew, real name Rosenfeld, orders all CNI to be placed upon new dollar bills with the motto Novus Ordo Seclorum. Alright. There's been some, let me see here. See what we got here. This is some of the films that I've got up here. This is called The Calling. It's down here.
The main goal of this production is to provide information to people, much of which is quite well hidden. It is our sincere hope that everyone who views this material will be inspired to question things and to search out the truth for themselves.
That's what I have tried to tell everybody. Don't believe everything or anything that I tell you. Don't believe it. Check it out. Research. Do your own research. Now, in my book, Mystery Babylon, I tell you what I talked about. First of all, I talked about Michael Harari being of the Mossad, working with Manuel Noriega, killing Colonel Catolo, whose whole document on the Catolo, the expose of Operation Watchtower. It's all in here. It's all in here, and I've tried to bring you up to date on what's happening. It's not we take sides, and that's what they do. That's why the best way to control opposition, best way to handle opposition is to control it. That's what the Tea Parties have turned into. There's been controlled opposition. Just like I used to tell you that Rush Limbaugh is just a high-paid publicist for the Republican Party. And Israel's got a bunch of high-paid publicists working for them. A couple of things I can't tell you. I can't tell you whether we own Israel or Israel owns us. The Jews have taken us over, and the Jews are communists. I'm sorry. Let's try to but you can't call them communists anymore because some of Roosevelt's best friends are communists. So when you try to get to the meat of the matter, who is doing this? Who is enslaving us? It goes all the way back to the banksters. The CIA runs the drugs. The Mossad runs the drugs. MI6 runs the drugs. They use them to destabilize countries. They use them to take over China, to drug the Chinese. We had wars over there, folks. We had wars over there. Let's see what else Max Egan has to say here.
The arguments and conclusions contained within this work are the accumulated result of over 25 years of investigation and personal research. Many of the arguments presented here are not new. However, in order to see the larger picture, it is necessary that the many smaller pieces of the puzzle first be put into order. The information contained herein is as important to mankind as it is urgent. However, in an almost unfathomable act of irresponsibility, it is for the most part being ignored by governments, academics and media all over the world. This film is designed to make it clear to the viewer that there is more to the workings of this world than how it appears on the surface, and that this fact can readily be proven. It is the opinion of the makers of this film that the people of the world very much need to understand the true nature of the problems faced by the human family in order to find real and meaningful solutions to them, and that these problems do seriously need to be addressed in order to secure a peaceful and prosperous future. We do not ask or expect anyone to believe what is presented within the chapters of this film without first investigating all the evidence for themselves, and we very much urge you to do so. Remember, the truth is always out there somewhere, and sometimes right in front of our eyes, if we would only choose to notice. Over the last several decades, the human consciousness has been saturated with a huge intertwining web of conspiracy theories, which are often too overwhelming for the average human to understand, and may in fact provide people with more questions than answers.
Oh yeah, there you go for Alex Jones.
And if someone is to suddenly see the bigger picture of what is really going on, and seriously tries to alert others, then the public has been carefully trained to view them as a crackpot, or label them as another conspiracy theorist. It has been very cleverly orchestrated so that no one ever discovers the whole truth about anything, and if anyone ever does figure it out, they are ridiculed and silenced. Now, however, due to the growth of the internet, it has become a lot harder to silence people and to keep information contained. So what if a global conspiracy does indeed exist? And what if people are kept blind to it because they have been carefully taught to associate the word theory with the word conspiracy, so they never take the time to see that which is right before their eyes? And what if this conspiracy deeply affects our future, our education system, our media, our government, our monetary system, and our beautiful planet? If such a conspiracy does indeed exist, then most certainly it would affect everyone on a personal level. So would it not be imperative for you to become aware of such information, both for your own well-being and for that of your children? It is quite understandable that due to the overwhelming nature of this topic, many people do not even want to begin to look into such things. But if one does take the time to look and steps back a little further, a definite picture comes clearly into view, and what is found is a situation that could be easily rectified. Would people simply take the time to become aware?
The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret. It's no longer a theory. It's no longer a theory. It's no longer a theory.
All matter is merely energy condensed to a slow vibration.
The only truth you know is what you get over this tube.
We are all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively.
That kind of echoes what my guest yesterday
I
said.
never knew anything that didn't come out of this tube. This tube is the gospel, the ultimate revelation.
Their whole purpose throughout history has been to teach a small number of people how to become adept at controlling everyone else.
There's no such thing as death. Life is only a dream, and we're the imagination of ourselves.
table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. Nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Whether you decide to take the time to listen to so-called conspiracy theories or not, there are some things that should be clearly understood by all, and these are not conspiracy theories by any stretch of the imagination. They are well documented, quite traceable, and very provable facts, and these facts are as follows. There is one ruling bloodline that exists on this earth. This ruling bloodline is very old. It is the same bloodline that has always ruled the earth ever since the days of ancient Egypt, and it is very pervasive. For example, many people think that anyone can get to be President of the United States, but the reality is that a large number of presidents are in fact related, and their lineage can be traced back to European monarchy, and in particular to the line of William of Orange. This elite bloodline can actually be traced back a good deal further than that, and even back as far as the royalty of ancient Egypt, and it is this very same bloodline that has ruled the earth ever since, and to which the British monarchy and many other world leaders can ultimately be traced. The families of this line are steeped in ancient traditions and symbolism, and they do not attempt to hide these connections. Just a look at the royal coat of arms, the royal regalia, and the coronation throne clearly demonstrates these connections. In fact, the signs and symbols are always right there in plain view for discerning eyes to clearly see. One only needs to take the time to look. Any real investigation shows us that the entire financial system by which the world is run today is actually operated by the Crown. And contrary to popular belief, the Crown does not refer to the royal family or to the British monarchy. The Crown actually refers to the inner city of London, which is in fact a privately owned corporation that functions as a completely separate sovereign state outside the jurisdiction of England. Most people are completely unaware that when they swear allegiance to the Crown, they are actually swearing allegiance to this private corporate empire. The inner city of London also has two sister city-states of Vatican City and Washington's District of Columbia, both of which are also separate sovereign states within their host countries. Each of these three city-states has its own flag, its own laws, its own news services, and its own police forces, and each pays no taxes to the host country in which it is located. These three cities form a private, covert empire that operates the entire Western world, that is known as the Empire of the Three Cities. The inner city of London is the centre for monetary control. Vatican City is the centre for spiritual control. Washington, D.C. is the centre for military control. It is the individuals who control this private corporate empire who call all the shots and pull all the strings. These people control all governments and all mainstream media via the stranglehold they have over the world monetary system, and more people are becoming aware of the reality of this all the time. The beginnings of this private empire can be traced back to a secret meeting that took place in 1773 between Mayor Amschel Rothschild and the heads of 12 other powerful families, including such dynasties as the Warburgs, the Schiffs, and the Oppenheimers. Following this meeting, Rothschild employed the services of a man by the name of Adam Weishaupt in the creation of a society known today as the Bavarian Illuminati, which was itself officially founded 3 years later in 1776. Many people think the Illuminati is a myth, but in actual fact, this society is still in operation to this day and has since become the most powerful organization in the world. The surviving members of this order are the individuals who also indirectly own and operate the World Bank. It is the World Bank who covertly dictates global oil prices and whose shareholders also control the global Federal Reserve banking system. Each Western government actually has the legal right to coin its own money and to control its value, but they do not. They borrow money from this privately run central banking system. Through the magic of fractional reserve banking, these central banks are able to create money from thin air via the creation of money as debt, and then profit on it by charging interest on the loans. Most people are duped into believing that their taxes pay for infrastructure, such as a road and schools, and without taxes, the country would fall apart. But this is completely untrue, for the money is in fact borrowed from a private bank, and then you are taxed in order to pay off the interest on the loan. No matter how you choose to look at things, one thing must be clearly understood, and that is that every person in the Western world who has a job is forced each year to give away approximately 3 months' worth of their wages in taxes, and that money goes directly into the pockets of the private individuals who own and run the Federal Reserve banking system. It's one big, privately run scam.
All right, let me, I put up some new things, and since I don't have a guest today, or since I'm watching the chat room here, I want to, the oil companies are milking us, the energy companies are milking. Every time you turn on your light, you're being taken, so your money's being taken. But let's go over here and see what this says. This is a Ring of Power, and by the way, if you should tune into the Ring of Power, you should check that out, because they've also got numerous episodes here. This one deals with a certain portion of history, but they're pointing out that in their research, Jesus Christ was the son of Julius Caesar, who was recognized by the Roman Empire as a god. So Jesus, according to these folks, was the Son of God. And I've told you over and over again that I think Jesus was promoted to God by the Council of Nicaea. When they consolidated all of their gods, they appointed him God because they didn't want men like me and my guest yesterday, Michael Monk, realize we got God inside of us, and we talk to him, and what Jesus said, you can do what I do and more. This is all contained in a YouTube section called Ring of Power. So let's hear it.
Formulated in 1773 at Mayor Rothschild's goldsmith shop by 13 influential German Jewish families. Among them were Rothschild, Oppenheimer, Warburg, and Schiff. Their formula for global control is the 3M formula: money control, media control, and military control.
2, 1. Mark, and we already have it.
Like changes to the rules that gave these families the media and money monopolies, new laws are being passed to transfer military control to them by privatizing the military. But if they're killing terrorists, who cares if they are government soldiers or corporate soldiers? A more important question to ask is, who exactly are the terrorists, and where do terrorists get their training? The answer is right smack in America at Fort Benning, Georgia. Until January 2001, America's terrorist training school was called School of the Americas. But because of massive protests against its activities, the name was changed to WISC, Western Hemisphere Institute for Security Cooperation. Actress Susan Sarandon narrated a documentary film called School of the Assassins. The film exposes the school as a terrorist training camp whose graduates are well-known murderers, torturers, state terrorists, and dictators, including drug king Manuel Noriega. The role of terrorists in the bankster-owned media is to scare the living tax dollars out of citizens, and timing is everything. On the second anniversary of the 9/11 attack on the World Trade Center, George Bush asked for an $87 billion increase in military spending. At the same time, the media released a dramatic video showing Osama bin Laden alive and well and threatening to make the 9/11 attack seem like foreplay. How much do we really know about America's favorite villain? Multimillionaire Osama bin Laden was the 17th of 52 children fathered by a wealthy construction baron named Mohammed bin Laden, who had close ties to the Saudi royal family and the Bush family. In 1979, the American CIA and Pakistan's ISI financed an anti-Soviet group in Afghanistan and provoked a profitable 10-year war with the Russians. When the Russians invaded Afghanistan, the CIA hired Osama bin Laden to recruit and train al-Qaeda fighters to fight the Russian army.
Anti-communist guerrillas in Afghanistan have been at the front line in the fight against the spread of communism.
But what was the fight really all about? Not carrots or potatoes. It was about poppies, endless fields of opium poppies that provide over 70% of the world's heroin supply to heroin addicts worldwide.
These are very uncomfortable issues for politicians.
It was a dramatic story, but the media failed to tell us the less heroic side of Afghanistan's freedom fighters. America's new friends had become hooked on the economics of the poppy. During the war, many of the Mujahideen radically increased the production of opium, the raw ingredient of heroin.
The international drug trade began in 1606 when Queen Elizabeth I built England's wealth by trafficking illegal opium from India to China. British East India Shipping Company and profited handsomely, not just from drug trafficking, but from trafficking African slaves with her slave trader, John Hawkins. First, knighted her slave trader with the noble title of Sir John Hawkins. By 1830, the British had distanced themselves from dope dealing by granting opium monopoly rights to the Jewish Sassoon family, who became known as the Rothschilds of the Far East. As an agent for the Crown, David Sassoon shared his dope profits with Queen Victoria.
The British East India Company built a major factory to process the opium here at Ghaizapur. It's still a lucrative earner for the Indian government, which sells opiates to the world's pharmaceutical industry.
When the Chinese banned opium and destroyed 600 chest loads of the addictive drug, Sassoon and the British retaliated.
It was a financial disaster for the British. With huge profits at stake, they retaliated with the Opium Wars of 1843 and 1858. Forces of the market were to defeat China's moral prohibition.
Sassoon and the British forced drug addiction onto an entire nation, stole the island of Hong Kong, and made Hong Kong the capital of the British international drug trade. In 1872, Queen Victoria knighted David Sassoon's son, Albert Sassoon, who spread the illegal opium trade throughout China and Japan. In 1887, Sir Albert Sassoon married Aline Caroline Rothschild and joined the pirated fortunes of the Sassoon drug cartel with the Rothschild money cartel. Today, it's business as usual for the descendants of the Sassoon and Rothschild families, who socialize with Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Charles as elite members of Britain's inner power circle. Many have been granted royal titles, like Sir, Countess, Baron, and Marquis, but their many victims aren't fooled by the crowns, the titles, and the tuxedos. They have very different titles for them. Titles like liars, thieves, dope dealers, and mass murderers for the crown. On the other side of the Atlantic, a member of the same opium smuggling syndicate Samuel Russell founded Yale University's Skull and Bones Brotherhood with drug money. Exclusive members were financed into political power positions in the CIA, the U.S. Supreme Court, and the White House. When Skull and Bonesman George Bush Sr. became CIA director in the 1980s, the CIA recruited Osama bin Laden to train al-Qaeda and Mujahideen fighters in Afghanistan. The job of Osama's trainees was not just to fight the Russian communists, it was to run Afghanistan's multi-billion-dollar opium trade. Heroin, manufactured from Afghan opium, supplied $250 to $300 billion annually to Wall Street and the U.S. banks.
Now, it's really key here, folks, that you understand that in my book, Mystery Babylon here, I have documented the CIA, the government of the United States and of Israel, I have documented that the documentation is from the man, the Colonel Edward P. Catolo, that was there, that saw the planes, that flew the planes in, that built his team with my friend William Tyree, built the radio guide towers down in the jungles of Colombia to guide the drug planes into safe harbor in Panama, which was then under the command of George Bush's partner, Manuel Noriega. Today, the BATF, the same people that started the fires at Waco, killed over 100 people, 17 of them little children. They hold stories in here, the documentation's in here. This occurred at the same time of Operation Watchtower, but because it dealt with the drugs, not the guns, you got switched over, and the mainstream news carried Iran-Contra, where they had Ollie North, who still never gone to jail or been punished for his role in Iran-Contra. And okay. Yeah, if you turn your volume there down, it's hard to hear me. Yep. Folks, I documented this almost 25 years ago. I put it in, and the war on me started. I am still under that war. They don't want you hearing this. I was involved with the paraphernalia industry. I started the head shops all around the country. I helped start them. I supplied them. I worked with them. I was the first distributor for High Times. I helped start Normal with Keith Stroop at the Malkalpan Hotel in New York. I've been involved in this crap for a long time. I thought marijuana should be legal. I thought everything was working. I thought we'd made progress. God, we stopped the war. We stopped an illegal war in Vietnam, and that war was about the drugs. That war was about the drugs. The war in Afghanistan is about the drugs. We went over there to take over after we took over wow, there's a bumper crop of opium coming out of Afghanistan. Now I've been, and of course I get put down for this, man. I had one woman was interested in me, wanted to meet me, and then I sent her to my website. Oh well, I don't hang out with anybody that smokes pot. I don't have anything to do with anybody who smokes pot. So there's 50 million people in this country that you don't talk to because they smoked pot once. Gee, let me think about that for just a minute. That's just downright stupid, isn't it?